Namaste. Namaste and welcome to this video. My name is Laura and this video is devoted to a little demonstration as to how you might offer yourself assists in a yoga practice. This video is part 1 in a 3-part series that is happening here on my channel. So part 1, self-assists, and then in part 2, we'll dive into physical assists. Part 3, energetic assists. So you can watch those videos coming up soon. And I would love to just share with you some things that I feel supported by in my practice as a practitioner of yoga, some things that I feel supported by as a yoga teacher when I hold space for others. So you might consider how this feels in your body, whether you're a practitioner of yoga, yoga teacher, or both. You can try these things out and see what you think. And let me know what your favorite self-assists are in the comments below after this video. Let's get started. We're just going to move through a few postures today. And these principles that we'll bring into the self-assists we'll find in these few postures, they can be applied to many asanas, postures throughout your practice, whether you're guiding or receiving guidance. The first posture that we'll check in about today is Sukhasana, sweet pose. Sometimes this posture is referred to as easy pose as well. This pose is a cross-legged position, sitting on the ground or on your mat. Now, one thing that we can do to really assist ourselves in a practice is to have a nice selection of some props available. I have here today for our session a block and a cushion, a meditation cushion. You could have a folded blanket, just working with what you've got around the house. And for Sukhasana, for sweet pose, I'm going to reach for a cushion. And so this is not meant to be an asana clinic where I break down the posture step by step and going over lots of alignment cues. I know that I do that in some of the other videos of my channel, but today we're going to, for the purposes of this video, assume that you know how to get yourself comfortable in Sukhasana, but then we further support ourselves in finding comfort once we've settled into some nice alignment of the pose, or little ways that we can check in with, are we in the best alignment for ourselves? So finding your comfortable seat, you're sitting nice and tall, you've arrived in Sukhasana, feeling grounded through the sits bones, tall through the spine. So this prop really helps us to honor the natural curves of the spine. And something that I've seen time and time again is that when I invite my students to lift through the crown of their head, they find themselves lifting up through the chin and actually drawing the forehead up toward the sky. So what I like to offer in that moment is a bit of their own gentle grounding touch, inviting them to draw one of their hands to the top of the head to find the crown of their head. So this gentle touch can help us to notice, where is my body in space, to strengthen our sense of proprioception. So suddenly, as they touch crown of the head, they can feel, I'm lifting this space up toward the sky. Another cue that I might offer is bring your hand, one of your hands, to the bottom of your chin. And this lower part of the chin, the jawline, remains actually parallel with the earth, with the ground below. So rather than lifting, and it's on a bit of a slope or an incline, we want to keep this area parallel with the ground. So maybe you find that helpful too. Another lovely self-assist that we can bring into this posture is a gentle sweeping of the collarbone area to draw the shoulders back. So if you notice that your students, or if you, in your own body, in your practice yourself, that your shoulders are rounding forward, which is just so common for so many of us in this modern world that we live in, with lots of tech time and just lots of duties, we're moving forward. We can draw shoulders back with a gentle touch. So this touch can help us to cultivate awareness of our own alignment. So even if you're not noticing that, it feels lovely. You can invite your students to do that and to be supported by that self-assist, even if you're not seeing any misalignments in the group or feeling them in your body. Likewise, you can draw shoulders down away from the ears by gently touching the tops of the shoulders. Another cue that we can work with, coming back to the chin, another self-assist and cue that we can work with if we're trying to sit nice and tall through the spine in Sukhasana, and in the body, within each person's unique body shape and comfortable range of motion, we are guiding the back of the head toward an alignment above, say around the low back. So not everybody will be able to comfortably find this, and that's okay. We're not pushing or pressing the body beyond that comfortable range of motion, but you might just offer that cue, drawing the back of the head above the low back when you're lifting the crown of the head and all of that other goodness. And something that you can try is just a slight press of the chin backward, or maybe even a touch at the back of the head to draw the head back in a way that's comfortable and safe. So those are just a couple of different options from Sukhasana, from sweet pose. We're going to come to standing to try a couple of others. So meeting me in standing now. We are going to try 2 different postures, and for the purposes of finding symmetry in the body, we will move into Warrior 2 pose on one side of the body, Virabhadrasana 2, and Trikonasana triangle pose on the opposite side of the body. If you prefer, you are more than welcome to take time to move through Warrior 2 pose on both sides and Trikonasana triangle pose on both sides. Let's begin by having our block handy and turning to face one of the short edges of your mat. To come into Warrior 2 pose, we're going to step right foot forward and left foot back. So again, I'm not going to go over all of the cues in this posture, but you can begin to settle into Warrior 2 pose. Bending through right knee, back leg is long, and starting to use some of these self-assists and also this idea of proprioception to settle into the pose. So using even your eyes and your own felt sense to notice the right knee drawing toward the pinky toe side of the foot. So we remember this, we feel this in the body. We're grounding down through the outside edge of the back left foot. And as you begin to open your arms in this pose, use your eyes to help you to see your alignment. We can assist ourselves by actually looking around the body. And then as you're starting to settle in and you see your arms parallel to the floor, we can use the hands to help us out as well, if you want. So just something, if you're comfortable with this, you can play around with it a little. I like to take the eyes and the hands to the hips. The hips are facing the long edge of the mat while you keep this right knee, in this case, on this side, right knee open, and the shoulders are above the hips. You can feel that with a gentle touch of the hands. So shoulders also open to the long edge of the mat. There's a gentle twist happening here across the middle of the waist here, the low ribs. And then the arms open out wide. You can even try another sweeping motion across the collarbone area to feel as you drop the shoulders away from the ears, as you open through the heart. You might imagine right fingertips reaching forward, left fingertips reaching back. You can bring your hands to the front and back of the pelvis to feel tailbone lengthening down and pubic bone drawing upward, bringing core engagement, glute engagement, top of the head. So again, these principles that we bring into the postures or the assists that we use, they're transferable from pose to pose. Good. Noticing that there isn't any leaning forward or back, and something that I try with my students sometimes if I'm noticing that, say, students are leaning forward in this posture, and if the shoulders over hips cue didn't quite do the trick, then maybe you guide them to lean back gently. To lean back, see how that feels. To lean forward and back again. So you can play with this and then invite them to find somewhere that they feel balanced in the middle. And maybe this is something you benefit from, balancing the weight in the middle between right and left foot, front and back. Good, let's take one more deep breath here, in through the nose. Exhale through the mouth as the shoulders relax down. So you're more than welcome to find Warrior Two pose on the opposite side. Maybe you do that after this video to bring symmetry into the body. For now, what we're going to do is get ready for Trikonasana, triangle pose on the opposite side. So I'm just going to grab the block to have it with me. Turn these right toes toward the long edge of the mat. Go ahead and turn left toes toward the opposite short edge. In triangle pose, Trikonasana, we keep both legs long, and I like to have my block with me there on the inside of the foot. So all of these cues, all of these assists are meant to invoke a sense of empowerment in you and in your students if you're a yoga guide, rather than feeling like there's something that needs changing in the posture. We can ask ourselves, what can I do to feel grounded in the posture, to feel steady, to feel strong, and even more supported, and in enjoying the pose even more. So you're really grounding through both of your feet. You might draw your awareness to the feet for a moment, feeling strong in the legs, a micro bend in the knees to avoid locking them. The arms can open out wide. And then hinging from the hips here, we bow toward this front extended leg. So on this side, that's the left leg. Wonderful. A nice way to assist yourself is to wrap your upper arm, the right arm, behind the back if you prefer. And this can also be a beautiful way. You can press into the low back to turn to draw the top shoulder over the bottom, right shoulder over left, as we want to keep the heart open in this pose. And in triangle pose Trikonasana, it's never about how far down we go, but rather keeping the waist long. Again, you might bring in a little bit of a side sweep, keeping left and right side of the waist long here. And to help me with this heart open awareness, I love to reach for a block, tenting the fingers on the block or making a fist. Remember that your block has 3 heights. You can change it up if you wish. And it's just an option to use the block. This upper arm I extend, and moving with breath, exhale, draw this arm down toward the inside edge of the wrist. Inhale, sweeping as if tracing a long line across the whole heart space and up toward the sky. Exhale, exhale, this right hand lowers toward left. Inhale, opening, brightening, wide, illuminating the heart space. And you can do this as many times as you want. You might follow the hand with the gaze. And this next time, you may pause at the top and just notice how this feels. I love to imagine that there's a quiet force that helps me here, pulls the upper hand as I keep my core strong, coming all the way back up, and lower the arms. And again, you can find this posture on the opposite side if you'd like. Stepping the feet together. And we're going to meet in a kneeling position as you're ready. Okay, So here we are in a kneeling posture, and we're going to apply some of these self-assist techniques to a very gentle variation of camel pose, Ustrasana. We'll meet in a kneeling mountain pose and reaching for your block. This is one of the ways that I like to support myself in this posture, whether I'm in a personal practice, guiding myself, or in a practice with others. And even if it's not offered by whoever's holding space for me, I might reach for my block to help me to maintain pelvic and core stability. You can take this block and squeeze it between the thighs. You can notice, how does that feel in your body? Maybe you sense glute, pelvic floor engagement, core engagement. You can choose whether you keep the tops of your feet or the toes tucked down on the ground, so that's up to you. Another cue that you can offer or guide yourself into is reaching for the bony hip points, and you might be able to feel them in your body. If not, you can just sense their location. And you might visualize that you're trying to squeeze these or this area toward each other, like you're trying to draw them in toward the midline. And notice how this helps you to create even more pelvic and core stability, which is very important to protect the low back in this posture, in this gentle expression of Ustrasana, camel pose, and in many back bends. So these techniques apply to the active expression of camel pose and also just many heart openers or back bends. Good, so after doing that little check, I like to take hands to the low back. So this helps me to ensure that my tailbone is reaching down toward the earth. A slight pelvic tilt happens here. Again, pubic bone draws upward, keeping all of this core strength. Squeeze the shoulder blades and the elbows toward each other behind you. And you can start to lift the heart. Really, when we are bending through the back, can you visualize that truly you are opening through the heart and here reaching the heart up toward the sky? And what I like to offer myself is a gentle touch of the heart. A gentle touch of the heart, and sometimes I'll even imagine that I'm gripping an imaginary tether and drawing that up toward the sky. So lifting, opening the heart up toward the sky, and then both hands can come to the low back. Good. Hips stay over the knees. Let's come out for a moment, returning to a neutral spine. So I always offer camel pose Ustrasana in a titrated technique. So starting small, noticing how you feel, and then building on that. And some of the ways that I come into the posture myself or might share and invite my students to come into is maintaining this activation around glutes, core, pelvic floor area. Crown of the head lifts up. So there's really this energy of reaching up and then back through the crown, up through the heart. And I might start to bring in a little bit of side-to-side movement. So inhaling as I lift the heart in one arm, starting with the right. Exhale back to center. Inhaling, left arm lifts up, heart lifts, gaze perhaps follows. Exhaling to center and a neutral spine. So you can do that from side to side. This helps me in my body to notice, how am I feeling? What is comfortable today? What degree of stretching feels right, matches my range of motion and my level of energy. Let's do one more time on both sides, right? And then left. So in this way, we can imagine the tether is attached to the hands and we're drawing it up from side to side, the heart lifting. Can come back to center. Good. Release the block and allow yourself any free-flowing, sort of freestyling movement that is needed after those posture explorations, those self-assists. I want to thank you so much for joining me today for this part 1 of a series exploring assists that you can bring in your own personal practice and that you can share with others if you are a guide of yoga. In part 2 of this exploration, as I shared previously, we'll be diving into physical assists. And for this video, I'm delighted to bring a guest teacher to my channel, to the video that will explore physical assists, and this guest teacher is Tina Kivinen. And for those of you that know Tina, you might just share in the comments below that you're excited for part 2, and we can enjoy that together. If you are not a yoga teacher, but you are feeling the call to learn more about techniques just like this, trauma-informed techniques, empowerment-based approaches, then I think that you would really love and benefit from our 200-hour online yoga teacher training at the School of Living Yoga. And this training is called Embodied Wisdom. Embodied Wisdom because it invites each and every one of the members of the Sangha, of the community, each of our students to really be exploring these philosophies, these principles, these techniques, the wisdom of yoga through the lens of your own being and your own personal practice. Noticing, feeling into the wisdom of these ancient teachings and how they resonate within your being and how they support your practice and how they also ripple out into your life around you. This is a 9-month training, so it's an opportunity to really dive deep into self-inquiry, reflection, and at the end of the training, of course, you will be certified to be a guide of Hatha Yoga. So this is a Hatha Yoga teacher training. It includes lots of different postures. It includes things like how to offer assists in a way that's safe, consent-based, trauma-informed, meditation techniques, breathing techniques, lots of pranayama, a beautiful global community that we hope that you will decide to be a part of this year. We're welcoming applicants right now for the 2025-2026 cohort. And if you have any questions about this training, you're curious and you want to learn a bit more, you feel intrigued, then what you can do is visit the description of this video below. And there I will leave a link to the information package, but also a link that you could book a call with me and we could discuss this training and your practice and how you might get a sense of if this training is the right fit for you and if it's the right next step on your yoga journey. So either way, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Maybe you share with me what self-assist you enjoyed the very most, the postures that maybe you'll bring these techniques into, or perhaps any other self-assists that you've picked up along the way that you have discovered that is informed by your own personal practice. So I'm excited to hear from you, and I can't wait to see you in part 2 of this video series, and maybe I'll see you in the 200-hour yoga teacher training. Thank you so much for your kind attention today, for your consideration of the 200-hour training, and for being here as a member of my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and do that after this video. Much love and namaste.